Hello everyone and welcome back to our YouTube channel Amor a mi Hermano. My name is Krista, my boyfriend's name is Alex, and typically we film together, but I have decided that I am going to go rogue for probably the next 2 or 3 videos, and I will be speaking with you all in English by myself. The reason behind that is because I want to get ahead of some of the questions that I inevitably get every time somebody finds out that I speak Spanish, but also to share a little bit more about me and my relationship with the language. Today's video's title is How Spanish Changed My Life. It's kind of trippy sometimes to think about who I'd be with, what my life would be like. I don't know that person, and I can't see that alternate ending in my mind. But I don't think that I would be as happy or as fulfilled as I am now if that were the case. So I really want to share with you all some of the ways that I feel that this path has changed me for the better, and also kind of highlight some of the lessons that I learned along the way. For starters, because this is the first question or assumption that I have to deal with on a regular basis, including at my job, I am not Latina. People will immediately go for the Dominican Republic when they ask me where I'm from, and then Puerto Rico, then Panama. I've even gotten Mexico and Colombia sometimes. I don't know why, but I am from the United States of America. One of the other questions that I get is, okay, well, if you're not Latina and you don't have any kind of personal connection to Hispanic or Latin American heritage, what motivated you to learn Spanish? Which is a fair question. My simplest answer is helping others. As I shared in the video that Alex and I posted about when he met my family for the first time, I have 2 brothers that have special needs. I think it was also tied to the value system that my family has. We were taught that we needed to stand up for people who could not stand up for themselves. And I think that developed this right fighter personality in me, or it developed this helper trait in me from a very young age, and I applied it to different situations throughout my life, but it became evident in the area of Spanish once I hit high school. I went to private school up until I was about 14, and then I transitioned into the public school system. Everybody knew everybody had gone through the public school system with each other, they had their groups, and I was coming in not knowing anyone, and I would just kind of sit by myself and do my things until my next class, because it was a new environment and I didn't know anybody. I think maybe the 2nd or 3rd day of school, this girl came and she sat down on the other side of the table from me, and she was very obviously Hispanic, and she tried to strike up conversation with me, but she didn't speak any English. At that time, I just knew basic Spanish, like hola, ¿cómo estás? Yo me llamo, that kind of thing. And so I told her, no hablo español, because I didn't know what else to say. And that did not dissuade her. She kept talking to me. I have no way of corroborating this, but I feel like she had just probably gotten to the United States recently. She didn't have any friends because she chose to come and sit with me. We struck up this friendship over the few days that we were sitting together by ourselves, where, if we saw each other in the hallway, she would grab me and super excitedly say something in Spanish, kiss me on the cheek, and continue down the hall. I would have no clue what she said, but I would hola and adios every time we saw each other. Or if she said, ¿Cómo estás? Bien. And we would kind of draw out the rest of our conversation. After those couple of weeks had passed, she eventually found her group of Spanish-speaking friends. I found my group of friends in my classes and things, and we just drifted apart. A part of me felt like I had really missed out on forming a connection with this person that seemed to be a very sweet spirit, and I decided that I wanted to learn more Spanish so that if the opportunity presented itself again, I would be able to have a full conversation with this person and potentially make a real friend. My freshman year of high school, I also started my first job at Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey. I was hired into the admissions department, which is where they sell the tickets and they have the little booths, and a lot of the visitors that came to the park were Spanish speaking. Anytime that I learned a lesson in school about times that things opened and closed, how much things cost, directions to get from the fountain to here. I would take that information and apply it to my job on the weekends. And after college, after graduating with my bachelor's in Spanish, I decided that I wanted to become a medical interpreter. When I look at my life and observe that pattern, the first thing that I was glad that I learned was to lean into or to follow my passion. Asking yourself questions like, what gets you most excited? What gets you most riled up? What do you feel is an injustice? What gets you out of bed in the morning? For me, what started out as wanting to help morphed into not wanting to see people treated poorly or wanting to see people miss out on opportunities that they would have if they spoke English. I wanted to help with the knowledge that I had to remove those obstacles and give people a hand in excelling in life, and that's what's led me to where I am today. The second lesson that I learned was to not be dissuaded by the people who doubt or don't understand what you're passionate about. A lot of people didn't really see the possibility of this becoming something that I could make a living out of, or that I could live my life being happy doing. Some people even thought that I was looking for a way to drown out my own identity as a Black woman, including my parents. And I had to constantly reassure people that that wasn't what I was doing. Having to constantly reassure people is something that's super exhausting. It makes you doubt yourself sometimes, and you wonder, am I doing the right thing? Am I making a mistake? Is this decision going to ruin my life? And I had all of those thoughts when I was learning Spanish because of the feedback that I was getting, not just from those close to me, but also from the world. And at a point, I just had to decide, Krista, if you're going to do this, you need to be the best darn version of this that you could ever be. If you're going to learn Spanish, you need to learn it well and speak it well, pronounce it well. We're going to exude excellence, and we're going to make everybody that doubted that I was capable of doing this thing realize that, yeah, I could do it, and you could do it as well. Third, don't be discouraged by delays. I am an extremely structured, organized, regimented individual when it comes to my planning for my life and my future goals, the way that I want to visualize things turning out for me. So when I was a junior in high school and decided that I wanted to pursue interpretation as my future career, I had a plan for when it was going to happen, like 1, 5, 10-year plan. And things did not play out the way that I imagined them to. From the point of the conception of the dream to the point that the dream became a reality, 12 years. And those 12 years were not easy. I actually worked for a hospital system for about 7 years, and they were consistently hiring interpreters. Every time I saw a position open up, I would apply. And every time within 24 to 48 hours, my application was rejected. And facing rejection over and over and over was demoralizing. I remember having a conversation with my dad, feeling this overwhelming sense of doubt, and telling him, well, nobody wants me, Dad. Like, this is not going to work out. I need to figure out something else that's going to progress me and pay my bills. But this, the waiting, I can't do this anymore. My dad, being the good Christian that he is, said to me, let's pray. And that afternoon we prayed. He asked for doors to open on my behalf. He asked for favor and a few other things that I don't remember. And he told me, now go ahead and apply for any job that you see as an interpreter. And I hung up with my dad. I went online. I searched. I found a couple of jobs as an interpreter in a competing healthcare organization. And I applied. Within 2 hours, I had a call back and I had a scheduled interview. And that position launched the career that I have now. I, in the beginning, was really frustrated, kind of thinking, well, I gave all of this time and energy to this one hospital system and nothing came of it. And magically, I apply and I get this job elsewhere. But at the same time, when I took a moment to step back and I thought about it, I knew that it was about the timing. If I had gotten hired as an interpreter fresh out of training, I probably would have been traumatized. I probably would have felt that I wasn't good enough, probably would have had a lot of insecurities. I don't know that I would have been as well-rounded as an interpreter had I gone right out of training, right into the healthcare system. And on top of that, personally speaking and spiritually speaking, there was a whole lot of maturity that needed to happen on my part before I could step into that role. I was so used to controlling my life and planning everything, making stuff happen when I wanted it to happen, that I think that that was the lesson I needed to learn, was to not be dissuaded by delays, but also, and fourth, trust God with my gifts. Because when you trust God with what He has given you, He can use that and affect things on a larger scale than you ever thought possible. After I got that interview for that hospital position, I remember sitting in my car and feeling like it was so close I could taste it, right? I was so close to getting the thing that I had trained for, that I had dreamed of, and that I wanted so badly, that I remember sitting in my car and sobbing, and I just said, God, if this is the job that you want me to have, I need you to make it known to me. And if this is what you want for my life, I promise I will give you all of my Spanish speaking ability to do whatever you want. Just please tell me if this is what you want me to do. And to be honest, the interview process after that was kind of like boom, boom, boom. Okay, this step complete. This step complete. Guess what? We want you. And I was floored. I almost passed out when I got the offer because I knew that it was God. So when I got the position, I was like, all right, I can't let you down. You didn't let me down. I have to start looking for ways to give my gift back to you. So I investigated a little bit about the church that I was going to at the time. They had a food pantry. I decided that I wanted to volunteer at the food pantry as a Spanish-speaking front office assistant for registration, those kinds of things. And when I was there, I actually met the director of the English as a Second Language program, and she offered me the opportunity to become an assistant teacher with the program. Plot twist, the teachers didn't show up for that first night, so I became the teacher. Spanish helped me find a way to relate to my students. I understood the process of learning another language, the nerves, the embarrassment, the work that you had to do, and not being sure of yourself. And I think that helped to establish a rapport. 5 years, I got to work in that role and impact the lives of others and also have my life touched by them. After that, when I changed churches right after COVID, immediately the opportunity opened up for me to be a Spanish interpreter at the church. So many different changes just because I decided that I was going to make and fulfill that promise to God. And every step of the way, I have learned something new. I have expanded my horizons, and I have felt more fulfilled. There's a joy, there's an exuberance, there's a passion about why I do what I do. I don't have answers as to why me, why the Hispanic community, or why Spanish. No idea. What I do know is that I feel like I am doing what I was created to do. And I am very, very happy. So that's my origin story. I hope that it cleared up some questions for you and provided you some encouragement and positivity. There were quite a few other topics that I didn't touch on in this video, and if you have additional questions about other aspects of learning Spanish that I haven't mentioned here, feel free to comment on them down below. Thank you for spending some time with me and getting to know me a little bit better. I will see you all in the next video, which will be me taking you along on the ride of what it's like to interpret when I'm at the church, not at the hospital. I don't want to lose my job, so I will see you all then, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Don't forget that with God, all things are possible. Have a good one.